everybody. Thanks for being here. Hey. So my name is Ryan Rebus. I'm the publisher of Burrow Press. I'm one of 3 organizations, consortiums, somethings. We don't deal in words. Putting this thing together. This is a collaboration called the Pink Fire Revue, the name of which is, or at least the phrase Pink Fire, should be credited to another local writer who is not a part of the event tonight, Whitney Hamrick. Thank you for the phrase Pink Fire. And what's happening tonight is a multidisciplinary collaboration between visual art, literature, and music. You're going to hear some poetry. You're going to hear some modular synthesizers being improvised before your eyes. I cannot do justice the sort of reasons behind what's happening. So, but I'm sure that the guys behind the equipment will give you a tutorial if you're interested after, because I'm pretty interested in how this works, and it's looking at it is a little bit scary. I don't think anything's going to happen like sparks are going to fly, so don't worry about that. But and then the visuals are reactive. So basically, there's been a program that was written that is reacting to everything that it hears tonight, the poet's voices, the music that's being improvised, and in a sense, it's sort of a one-time improvisation in itself. So the 3 collaborating collaborators are the Drunken Odyssey with John King, which is a podcast about the writing life that's pretty amazing in and of itself. He's interviewed all kinds of people from David Sedaris to Chuck Klosterman, Irvine Welsh, Nikki Giovanni. It's an amazing podcast. If you are a writer or a reader and you want to check that out, that's 1/3 of what's going on right here, the Drunken Odyssey with John King. And it's based right here in Orlando. Second organization that is involved in this is the In Between series, which is hosted here at the gallery at Avalon Island every Monday, some Monday of the month, once a month on a Monday. It's creative music, it's experimental, it varies, and my words again can't do it justice. It's interesting. It's one of the most interesting, I think, music series that is going on right here in Orlando. And lastly, Functionally Literate. That is the reading series of Burrow Press. 4 times a year we bring writers from all over the world and pair them with writers from right here in Central Florida, and we drink. But since you guys are here, and it's a very interesting, different sort of left turn of an event, I figured that I would tell you who the next reader is at our Functionally Literate. Our next actual function is going to be on October 8th. If you want to save the date for that, Lauren Groff, the National Book Award finalist and New York Times bestselling author of Fates and Furies, which happened to be Obama's favorite book. That's kind of cool. She's coming on October 8th, so Functionally Literate, save the date for that. But that's not important. What's important now is what you're about to see, which may be a little hard to explain, but I'm not going to help you out. I'm just going to say that the first thing you'll hear is Edgar Allan Poe's The Black Cat, as retold by the cat known as the terrible Mr. Sundrop, which happens to be John King's cat. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, an important warning for those who react to flashing lights, tendencies for seizure, things like that. This is going to get flickery. And so if that is something that is not good for you, if that's like something that sets you off, this is the warning for that, because it's going to get real blinky and real glitchy. Thanks for reminding me to say that. Yeah, so okay. Cool. Well, without further ado, it's the terrible Mr. Sundrop.
GPS has wanderlust. Left turn in 400 miles, she says. I'm going to a portrait reading at Rollins College, I say. I'm running late. He'll be in Chicago on Wednesday. Wouldn't you rather see him there? Get some Mongolian barbecue. I have a job here, you know, I say. Students to see in the morning. What was your first thought? The first time you had a nocturnal emission, she asks. I remember dream after dream of swimming with Jessica from ocean to ocean until the globe spewed out into space, until everything became an ocean, and Jessica's smile a crescent moon, her soggy tresses a tree. Turn right here then, she said. But, I said. What are we listening to, she asks. Boccherini string quartets, I say. Ah, she says. So. I yank my iPod out of the center console. Number 1, Allegro Moderato, I say. It's a slightly melancholic dance through a mansion, don't you think? She says. Of course, I say. The GPS is now crying. I ease off the accelerator. Whatever's the matter, I say. No, 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 she moans. The road unspools, an infinite gray ribbon parting sawgrass, and the sky a blue kite. Who are you, I ask. Someone who loves you, she stammers. Someone without hands, sitting in a chair and looking out a mansard window at the crows upon the musical staff of those electric lines. Okay, I say. Tell me where to go.
alternating current electricity of his opposition, George Westinghouse, not the direct current electricity Edison used in his own street lighting projects. Surely, he argued, alternating current electricity was more dangerous and therefore should be used for a more humane method of death than hanging. The term electrocution was first used to describe death by electricity when Thomas Edison killed a dozen stray cats and dogs at once with a Westinghouse generator. The smell of burnt flesh and hair permeated the air for blocks. George Westinghouse never tested the fatal potential of direct current electricity. When William Kemmler was convicted of murdering his wife with a hatchet, it was alternating current electricity that would end his life, despite his lawyers referring to this punishment as cruel and unusual. It is impossible to determine the cruelty of a method never used, reasoned the U.S. Supreme Court. Our relationship with electricity was one of fear and awe. In 1890, Kemmler was the first person to be killed by electric chair. The first horse killed by alternating current electrocution died immediately, shocked with 1,000 volts during electric chair tests the day before, with electrodes attached to his knees and his muzzle chained to a pole. "23 years later, Tennessee's first electric chair was built with the same gallows wood previously used to hang prisoners to death. In 1903, when an elephant in the Coney Island Circus was found guilty of murder and sentenced to electrocution, it didn't matter that the murder happened in self-defense, a result of cigars being put out on the tip of her trunk. At least 1,500 people gathered during the day to watch Topsy be fatally shocked with 6,000 volts of electricity. That night, electric towers illuminated where the elephant once stood. Unlike the distance afforded to witnesses of contemporary American executions, 17 spectators watched Kemmler's execution on wooden folding chairs directly across from him, reminiscent of the gallows-style seating in high demand just a few years before. They could see every strap and hear the jingle of each buckle fastening Kemmler into place. An alternating current varies in magnitude and direction. At the end of the 1800s, hospitals used electrotherapy to treat such afflictions as paralysis, rheumatism, and arthritis. Electrodes were first soaked in salt water and then applied to affected areas. To treat cancer, insanity, hysteria, and nervous exhaustion, patients stood on large copper electrodes, while another electrode attached to a wet sponge was passed over them. Thomas Edison, in charge of carrying out Topsy's death sentence, documented it in his short film, Electrocuting an Elephant, within which footage of her death is set to music. When the executioner flipped the lever, most of Kemmler's body straightened out hard against the straps that held him in place. For the 17 seconds, 1,000 volts flowed through him. Only his right hand clenched inward and was cut so deeply by his fingernails that blood trickled from the arm of the chair to the floor below him. The music speeds up as a plume of smoke spreads upward from Topsy's feet. It billows out along with a crescendo of music as Topsy's front legs bend, and then the rest of her tumbles over, obscured. A direct current is a constant flow of electric charge in only one direction. When the power switched off, Kemmler's body heaved not only with electricity, but with the force of breath. He was then shocked with 2,000 volts. Loud cracks of electricity flowed through him, and blood pooled on his face like sweat. His hair singed. The skin at the base of his spine lifted and curled. Tennessee's modern electric chair is regularly tested to ensure it will deliver 1,750 volts at 7 amps over 20 seconds, disengage for 15 seconds, and then engage again for another 15. Optimal death by electric chair will render the victim immediately unconscious with the first jolt. If too much electricity is used, the skin might burn. If too little is used, the condemned might burn alive. Shaky camera work makes it look like Topsy's almost moving again, and maybe she was, breathing as if electricity didn't leave 3 of her hefty limbs sprawled along the floor, while her left leg extended and hovered. Death row inmates are given a choice of available modes of execution in all states but Tennessee, where death by electric chair is mandatory in the event lethal injection drugs are unavailable. Because of this, Tennessee is currently only one of 9 states where people can be put to death by electrocution, but the only state where these people may be forced to endure it instead of something else. Before contemporary electrocution, a condemned prisoner would be shaved. After what might be a long walk, he or she would then be strapped to an electric chair, and a wet sponge would rest underneath the metal electrode attached to his or her head. Another electrode would rest on his or her leg. Then, the blindfold or mask would be applied, hiding the eyeballs that may pop loose from their sockets as a jolt between 500 and 2,000 volts is applied for 30 seconds. There might be severe burns where the electrodes were attached. If his or her heart is still beating after this process continues. Some prisoners catch fire. The day after Kemmler's electrocution, the New York Times published the story, "Far Worse Than Hanging," calling Kemmler's death an awful spectacle. This war of currents between Thomas Edison and George Westinghouse did not end well for Edison, whose direct current electricity did not become industry standard. Alternating currents became universal for both lighting and executions. Nikola Tesla, when employed by George Westinghouse, claimed that if we want to reduce poverty and misery, if we want to give every deserving individual what is needed for a safe existence of an intelligent being, we want to provide more machinery, more power. 81 inmates in Tennessee are currently scheduled to die.
center of the universe, the Earth. At the center of the Earth, hell. And in between walks Galileo Galilei, pacing out the shrinking circumference of his life, a cordial exile from Rome in a villa outside Florence. Sleep comes easier to the guards outside who lean against the walls and dream of children dancing around the black maypole. For Galileo, the bed is a drifting raft, its eyelids a rippling sail. He considers painting the ceiling with stars, but the students who come to him now are all maps and answers already, and he could not bear to see them roll their eyes to find a sky that does not move, blanketing them here, of all places, like some basilica heaven. They come to him with stories, and he finds it an unfair trade, these arrangements, his leftover lessons and guarded observations for their fresh and vital frontiers. Tales of a new voice at the Venezia Opera, growls of some savagery from the infant colonies over the sunset. Walk the surface of a sphere, he teaches, and your head will always travel further than your feet. Do not let this dissuade them from the chase. At night, his students open the windows and aim a rifle of glass at the eyes of God. Galileo feels the wind tickle through his beard, and he wonders what they see through the sights. An army of guardian angels walking their post around a jailhouse, or a carnival of dancers, carving sparks off a midnight carpet, calling to one of their own. He wonders, but never asks. In 1642, the dizziness of the chase overtakes his insomnia, and they find him there, a body at rest, except for the one part. A souvenir stolen by a scholar some 100 years later, Galileo's middle finger now stands in a museum in Florence. The students who come to see it cannot help to note how it faces southwest, towards Rome, and points to the stars.
At night, the students open the windows and aim right
Popular science. I miss the future. I miss the red-eyed robots with Dr. Octopus arms, airwaves rippling concentric through antennae hats. I miss the modern kitchen, the monorail and fishbowl helmets. I miss brains in jars. I miss the jumpsuits, the yin-yang orbit of the atom, and yes, I miss the jetpacks, the flying cars, the pneumatic capsules zooming headlong into convenience. It should have been a crowded sky by now. Wind dripping off the tail fins of our rocket cars, rocket boots searing the penguins to a perfect medium rare before they drop onto the waiting plates of the poor huddled between the buildings below. I miss Ming the Merciless, and he misses us. Kicks unlucky aliens idly into dusty death traps as he waits for a Flash Gordon who will never come. I miss Barbarella, writhing in zero-G, the fur of some flimsy Martian chinchilla rippling off her body like an undiscovered nebula. Someone must tell our astronauts she is out there still, somewhere past Pluto. She could really use a jacket. We passed that future, somewhere on the way to this one, and there is no going back. Any more than your prom crush is still waiting behind the bleachers. We passed a note on Voyager, sent it spinning between the aisles, and sat by a phone that never rang. At some point, what can you do but grow up? Our dystopias are playgrounds for teenage girls, and all the ray guns are set to kill. We have given up on making the big screens bigger and simply brought the small ones closer. The future feels like glass and sounds like glass, and it is never more than 12 inches away. Brains in jars. With any luck, the robots will still be cool to carry us around one day after our limbs have shriveled away. after we realized with bittersweet relief they were neither the Daleks we feared, not the clanking, compassionate sidekicks with synthetic English accents, but only tools, like everything else. With any luck, this is how the aliens will find us when they crash land en route to Betelgeuse. A gaggle of pulsing brains mounted on wobbling scooters, pseudopods frantically swiping on pads as we gather around the wreckage. The Instagrams will show the captain, ray gun in hand, 3 steely eyes narrowing as he urges the medic to keep behind him. The scientist, adjusting his jumpsuit, urging caution and restraint. Don't shoot, he will tell the captain. There is so much we can learn from them.
Mr. Red-Eyed Robot with Dr. Octopus arms, airwaves, rippling, concentric from antennae hatches. Should have been a crowd in the sky by now. Amidst the red-eyed robot with Dr. Octopus arms, airwaves, rippling, concentric from antennae hatches. Should have been a crowd in the sky by now. Amidst the red-eyed robot with Dr. Octopus arms, airwaves, rippling, concentric from antennae hatches. Should have been a crowd in the sky by now. Amidst the red-eyed robot with Dr. Octopus arms, airwaves, rippling, concentric from antennae hatches. Should have been a crowd in the sky by now. Amidst the red-eyed robot with Dr. Octopus arms, airwaves, rippling, concentric from antennae hatches. Should have been a crowd in the sky by now. Amidst the red-eyed robot with Dr. Octopus arms, airwaves, rippling, concentric from antennae hatches. Should have been a crowd in the sky by now. Amidst the red-eyed robot with Dr. Octopus arms, airwaves, rippling, concentric from antennae hatches. Should have been a crowd in the sky by now. Amidst the red-eyed robot
The human race exists the way it does today because we believe that there is safety in numbers. We find security in statistics, safe harbor in logistics. To be realistic, now that's an art form. And these days, artistic, that's rare form. We were taught to conform to the norms set down before when we were still crawling on the floor. Before you could stand on your own 2 feet, defeat was beat into your nervous system. We live beneath a nervous system. The storm gathers in the sky. Plaster ceilings are why we don't recognize we are the eye. We look down. Backs thrown from glances at phones. Cricks in necks are more common these days than kisses upon them. We used to go for strolls. Take nature into our skulls. Scroll is the new exercise. We feed on news feed. News, it travels fast these days. Days like these call for fast food. Fuel up your fast car for the fast lane because we're late. We lost track of time. We lost track of time. We're living memories of lost love. We are losing everything we love. So caught up in the past and the present and the present and the present, for the future to present itself. I won't know until data tells me that hashtag Bumblebee is exclusively TBT. Question, would you notice if the variety of produce produced reduced began to dwindle like our bird populations? My honest answer? Only if it makes the front page of Reddit. 5 reasons I should become a journalist, or another ode to my existential crisis, or you should really watch the movie Rosewater on Netflix. It'll make you feel things. 1. Truth and beauty seldom sit in the same room. Beauty is timid and fleeting. Truth is brutal but freeing. The first time I took truth into my fist was the first day I looked death in the face. It was a skull scattered across pavement. When the fuel tank of the sedan exploded, the flames spoke my name. The heat licked my cheeks, said, "My dear, there is no use for tears here." 2. Fear is not a reliable friend, because fear is fleeting. Fear is afraid of truth, because truth is all that will continue after your brain matter matters no more. Sometimes I think nothing matters anymore. Sometimes I think life is a chore. It's not that existence is a bore, but it's more like a drill. A drill that will bore a deeper and deeper well, searching for why. Why is the full body armor that truth is dressed in? Sometimes I think truth is like oil, it's better left buried. 3. Man and technology are married. They've built a beautiful home, raised children that are now grown, but their mortgage loan might be better if we filed for bankruptcy. But pride denies logic. Comfort is a creature we're not ready to cast out, so rather than tap out, we'll pretend the foundation isn't crumbling. That foreclosure isn't coming. That the inheritance left down is not more burden than blessing. 4. Undressing the truth takes time. Truth does not come in one big run. It's more like shards of glass beneath the skin, dug out one by one. On days I am depressed, truth begs to be undressed. Why won't stop crying till my fingers bleed from trying. Crying is not a pretty process. Beauty and fear left the party when why walked in the door. Now why and I are the only ones home. I guess it's better than being alone. 5. The first time I took truth into my fist was the first day I looked death in the face. Truth licked my cheeks, said, "My dear, there is no use for tears here. Fear and failure are fleeting. Beauty is gone with one beating. I am all that will matter when your brain matter matters no more."
conducting Pachelbel's canon, Yawn, primary colors, into an auditorium of empty seats to show a starched shirt, black ties, broken orbits, like popcorn inside of popcorn. Gravitron. There because it wasn't. Shadow of a shadow, a grain of sand, this apoplectic dimension, trees of dendrites oscillating the yeast of the loaf that Mickey Mouse ate in 1912. 31. I am here now in the film, waving from this lariat in black and white. Constance. Rattling of sashes curled around the fabric of a moment, exploding with sky, is an erupting, foaming ale on another continent, a purple matrix awaiting the horns of a new national anthem. Tachyon. Emissaries of fire reaching into the bleachers to snatch hummingbirds from a bare hand. A curlicue of alphanumeric transference, chasing foul balls onto new fields, spilling a spectator's beer. Strong nuclear force. A torque of molasses licking the desert after the desert. This blob in your eye makes you blink most adorably. The spine of this book closing, red leather, and your name. Muon. Beneath the sofa cushion, shapes are dancing. Maenads in a cool oven, rising within themselves, twisting inside, making time, making space. Satellites. High energy. A trillion quarks wait in line for the toilets at Wrigley Field. Halos throbbing. Circumference of metronomes shadowing each thought. 5 trillion cups of beer, keen for their transit to another universe. Classic. Inside a book is a dusty classroom in Greece, circa 1968. Amniotic characters stretching, curly beards graying, ocean of blackboards, showers etched negatively onto eyelids, a menagerie of light, bleeding Mediterranean clouds, a mandolin tripping the tempo from mildewed page to page. Standard theory. At the end of a stage, choked with pink roses, a telephone is ringing, a thunder of mathematics calling through the ache of time, the question mark of a medal encircling my father's throat as he drove me home from college, as he called everyone he did not know, while the satellite slept and drifted like rain. Brain. A stairway to a stairway elsewhere, faster than a buffalo's question, escape velocity of self. An engineer will need a cane, chasing faster, further, slower, in an electric escalator zooming up, God's nose. A donut in space. The unshaping is a vacuum, a streaking bubble of electromagnetic life. Traffic signs and history books we devour with coffee and the thickest cream. Cliches stretching into a blueness of everything. Brain. Sometimes I talk to myself, but what I want to know is, are you listening? Can you feel me slicing through? Supersymmetry. 11 rooms in the back of the eye, the pen a ladder, from room to eye to rooms, a castle of time to look through, castles snarling in the sky. The right quantum. A rope of light spanning the kitchen of the universe, the cream in a ceramic cup in a dinner, an angry door screaming, so many ropes of light. Things tend to go wrong when you wear an overcoat. The subatomic twitchings of the universe get hostile. This bracelet, an accurate noose that bursts decades apart. Faces of ash falling, ticking, in tall grass. Inflationary cosmologies. The wall-to-wall carpets devoured the microwave. Digs its toes into the lawn, burping lithium quilts, bathing the universe. Opaque rain onto the words of this poem. A topography of photons. This electric storm on your tongue.
Emissaries of numeric transference. Pizzicato.
right. So, I should probably turn some lights on in here so we can see what's happening now. So, that is what we intended to do. Thank you. Woo! I like how your clapping is still creating the reactive. So, wow, fantastic. So, real quick, I wanted to introduce all the people that were involved with this tonight because, we just kind of went. So, yeah, could I have my poet friends come up and could I have you guys stand up as well? And I just want to briefly introduce each of you. Oh. So, I'm Jared, by the way, one of the synth people, normally functionally literate host, of course. My fellow synthesist this evening, first Mr. Derek Duda. And next to him, Jon Curtis. Each of them were operating different collections of electronics, and collectively you were hearing the total of what we were all doing. At the far end, Ginger Lee, aka Synthestruct. Ginger has been providing the visualizations according to a program that she wrote that was reacting to 3 separate audio streams, one from each synthesizer and from the microphone. So as you see me talking, it's still triggering the visualizations, which is really, really fantastic. It happens to be Ginger's birthday today. Isn't that awesome that she came here and still did this? Woo! Let me introduce our readers this evening to, of course, John King, I already mentioned, from the Drunken Odyssey podcast. Of course, you'll know Tod Caviness from his work at the Fringe Festival and with Loose Lips and all of the stuff you do. You do so many things. Yeah. Mary McGinn. Mary, I'm really glad we were able to finally bring you in on an event. Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah. And of course, Nicole Oquendo. Well, this has been phenomenal. John, do you want to say anything? Thanks. He says thanks. I'm sure you heard him. A couple of thanks that we have to do real quick. Obviously, thanks to all of the people who participated. Thank you to you guys for being here. Thanks, of course, to Pat Green and the Gallery at Avalon Island for hosting us here tonight. Let's big round of applause for them. There's still beer and wine downstairs. We would love if you guys want to partake in that. The donations are welcome for that. If you have any questions for anybody that was creating work tonight, I'm sure they'll be happy to briefly answer them. I'm sure we'll all be hanging out for a little bit. So again, thank you guys so much for coming, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it blew your minds a little bit. All right, thank you guys.